Hello, welcome back. Last time I got the crystal in well, and I used a binary counting mechanism, but rumor has it now that there's actually another way. I did notice there were some jar spots that I was leaving unused during that, so it's not too surprising that there might be a way to squeeze some extra use out of them and do something a bit quicker. Anyway, so elevator, this crystal. I have a lot going on today. I had a worry I would just be stuck for hours, messing with this, not able to get my other stuff done, not able to solve the puzzle. But it turns out, none of that happened. I just spent about 20 minutes on this, and I got to a state where I had 3 blocks stacked up there and could have touched the crystal. So, I have a solution. Can I repeat it though? That's the question. So it starts exactly the same as the thing I showed last time. Turns out I was 100% on the right track there. In fact, I go through the entire sequence. Okay, let's do this slowly, since I did it kind of fast last time. So, touching the crystal, there's no way I'm ever getting on top of the elevator in the wet. Like, I think that's 100% true. I've thought that about things that were not, though, so I could be wrong, but currently I see no way to ever get on top of the elevator in the wet room. So I must stack up 3 boxes, nope, don't use that word, 3 blocks to touch the crystal. I have a trick here where 3 entries into this chest initially preserves enough jar spots there that when I do the transport here up to the top, transport involves just getting this chest wet and bringing it into a jar. I also want an extra wet jar for later use. Those 3 entries, let's see, what do they do exactly? So this is the exit out of the jar I just made with a jar. So yeah, I keep a wet jar to be able to re-wet things once I'm up top. This exit gets me up there, and I'll be touching the crystal from somewhere. Anyway, yeah, so when I jar out here, I can bring a block into the jar and have it. However, I want to do this twice because I have something more complicated to do. So 1 block goes here, then I have this jar which contains another block which I want to bring out of the jar. So this sets up a situation, once again, where once I'm in here, and I have this in my hand, if I can exit down there, the puzzle is solved, because immediately above me is a room with an exit point up here and 2 blocks already in place. So, my mission now is to be inside this chest, then transport it down there, then exit with the block in my hand. First step to that is to embed the block in a wet jar. For preservation, and also to be able to make the room wet so that I can do stuff with the chest, because I can't do much up here in the dry. So I have a wet jar. Something seems not right about this. No, it is, because I have to enter the chest right now. Yeah, once again, from this layer I have to have a chest entry encoded, then downstream of here, teleport the chest to the downstairs, and still be able to exit continuously. The block is here with me inside this jar. Okay, so still on the same track as what I showed last time. I'm going to make a new jar here because I'm in the wet and I can do that. I use this spot up here to dry the chest. I bring the jar with me to be able to retrieve the chest down in the bottom. So this action creates the problem that I'm inside the chest again in a place where I have to exit up top. And the whole point was that I had to be inside the chest upstream of here in a place where I have to exit on the bottom. So I have to resolve that conflict. I didn't know how to do that when I showed my state-of-the-art last time, but I found a way now. How does it work? I brought a wet jar with me, allowing me to retrieve the chest. So I'm gonna do that. And the interesting resource I have down here is this pool of water. It basically looks like I've restarted the puzzle, but what I have is a healthy upstream of this, kind of. with one little kink in the works I need to work out. Okay, so how do I repeat what I did before? This is, again, very much like starting the puzzle. I missed a step. First I need to embed once more in this chest. That seems right. Then I want... It's actually pretty simple, isn't it? Similar action as before. I get a wet jar and a wet jar. And I take the chest into it. So this encodes an entry into something at the bottom where the exit is accessible. And I do that same action as familiar. I take this extra wet jar out of here, and out of here, and I'm up top in the dry because I entered that chest an extra time when I was down there. Now I think all I do is I take a dry jar out of here with a wet jar in it. Yes, I see exactly how this works. I take a dry jar out of here. Okay, so this jar is wet, this jar is dry. And I'm all the way back up here. I exited that chest in the place where I needed to have exited it. And now I have another cool resource here, which is a dry jar with a wet jar in it. Okay, how does this... Dry jar takes me to the top. Oh boy, okay, so dry jar takes me to the top where there's a wet jar. I'm just gonna enter it, empty-handed, because it does take me to the top. The chest is still with me there. Oh, I didn't need the extra wet jar. I could have just manufactured one there. So all I needed to do was to get a dry jar back to this state, because what I can do with this is I can take any wet jar. This one that I made deep in there works. I could have also just manufactured it right there, one layer up from where I am now. Take the wet jar into the chest. Do a much simpler transport from top to bottom because I'm in the dry. And here we go. Wet jar, retrieves chest. Chest is at the bottom. All of my chest entries are encoded in places where I want to exit on the bottom now. And everything's set up. We're there. Here's my block. Block exits. I end up, let's see, I think I'm gonna get out of a jar right now? Yes, but now I exit the chest. And now I exit to where there are 3 blocks. There we go! Okay, so I had it. I just didn't quite figure out that last step. Touch that crystal! Alright, if I am not mistaken, this is everything. I'm done. I solved the entire Ice Palace. Whoa. So this was... maybe the hardest puzzle game that I've played, but I don't know, difficulty is not a one-dimensional thing. This reminds me a lot of my experience in the Golem. Maybe like half a notch harder than that overall with the same type of difficulty that it used. But yeah, okay, I had some low points here. I wasn't sure I would be able to get through this, but perseverance was enough, and I learned some new tools for figuring things out. So yeah, all of these puzzles. I don't think there was a single one in here. I guess there was 1 or 2 where I didn't understand what I did. There wasn't a single puzzle here where I understood what I did when I solved it and didn't feel like it was an amazing realization. Like, as long as I could comprehend how I solved the puzzle, it's just a really good feeling every time. Yeah, every individual gemstone here. Spectacular puzzle. Love it. So 3 diamonds, 1 ruby here, 6 crystals. And this one gives an exact count. It's so weird to me, though, still, that Which was the puzzle that had the counts in here? Anyway, so there were numbers scrawled on the wall in one of these puzzles somewhere. Was it cupboard? I think it was cupboard. Yeah, cupboard, right here. No, not this room. Isn't it cupboard? What is it? Is it sack? Cell? It's not cell. Maybe it's sack. It's not sack. Anyway, I've looked at these enough times, wherever they are. I want to find them now. Where were they? Was it deficient? What's deficient? It's not deficient. Sunken? I don't think it's sunken. It's still super weird to me that the hieroglyphs do not communicate number of diamonds and other stuff. Is it share? I'm going to find this. Here we go, share. 18 diamonds, 18 crystals, 9 diamonds, 2 rubies. Yeah, okay, so now this does give a very clear, you know, the crystal has that sort of hexagonal shape, diamond has the square shape, ruby has, what is that, an octagon? And like that doesn't match the hieroglyphs in here. So I guess this is just ornamental. It really looks like it's a clue in the style of the clues for that. But yeah, okay, so that thing there, that's clearly a crystal. Hexagonal shape. Octagonal shape, upper right. Yeah, so 2 rubies here. 2 rubies, 2 crystals. 2 rubies, 2 crystals. 3 rubies, 2 crystals. Yeah, 3 rubies, 2 crystals. That matches nothing. So hieroglyphs are not the thing. Maybe there's another subtle clue in here somewhere that I somehow missed, but I don't know. Those tend to stick out. Anyway, yeah, so Ice Palace, done. Very happy with this. Very happy to be done with it because, like, this was a super brutal set of puzzles, and it lasted long enough that I landed on another super brutal set of puzzles in the Drod slot next to this. So not having both of those going at the same time will be a big relief for me. Yeah, I mean, not much else to say here. This is done. I did all the puzzles, and I'm happy about that. Alright. Weight has been lifted from me, and I'll see you again for something else.